Hello there, beautiful people. Martinfpavey here, reporting to you from a rather cloudy sky today. The sun keeps wanting to come out, but keeps getting hidden. So today, got to pick the right people. Before we go into that, please do like, subscribe and share this very important message. Has to be said, over the last 5 years or so, I've had a bit of a baptism of fire with friends when it finally became really obvious to me that these people didn't give a shit about me, weren't interested in actually having real friendships, real relationships. Everything was at a distance, very much at a distance. And I had a cull, basically, and to the point now where I don't really have any proper friends. You know, I see people in my village and I'm walking around, I'll say hello, but in terms of actually going out and socializing, I don't really do that, because not just in the last few years, but I'm just a few months off turning 43, but for a lot of my life I've actually enjoyed my own company, and that has worked to a large extent, but of course it does eventually get lonely, and we are social beings. Got some people wandering towards me, don't know why they're walking so close, but the really important thing in relationships, and it's never going to be 50-50, it's never going to be, watch, we're going to just walk right by. I'm sorry, but you can see how much space you can see how much space there is here. We've got acres and acres and acres, and I just don't get that. If I see that somebody's recording a video, is it just me? But well, this sort of highlights it. You've got to be around the right kind of people. And I did a video the other day talking about being in praise of freaks, but a different kind of freak, because I'll be honest, the people that I've known in my past, they haven't just sort of been funky out there people, they've been weirdos and sort of kind of crazy people, and I don't mind a little bit of craziness. I kind of enjoy that, but there are levels, and I want to be around people, and this is what I recommend for you as well. I want to be around people who know how to human properly. You notice a lot of people don't know how to human anymore. I was watching a really fantastic podcast with my absolute, by far and away, favourite podcast host, James Dellingpole, and he's done 3 interviews now with this fabulous lady, beautiful voice, and she's a female comedian called Tanya Edwards, and she's just fantastic, really widely read, and she was describing how she was paying for something at a shop, and the girl behind the counter, and that she'd paid in cash, and the girl behind the counter didn't know how to count up the money. She didn't understand coinage anymore. And also, and this happened to me when I was in London, with perfectly, friendly people, but with these absolutely enormous fingernails. So when they're trying to use the computer or count change, they can't do it. They can't compute it in their brains, and physically they can't dispense the change to you. And this does bring up sort of another point when I was talking about sort of podcasts and various pursuits, that the way to have successful relationships, you've got to have things in common. And even if you don't have necessarily the same interests, which you might or you might not, that you can actually have discussions and you can talk openly, freely, without fear of recrimination for, God forbid, expressing your own point of view or your own opinions. And that's what happened in my past relationship, that it was basically a no man's land for discussion. It was just impossible. It was impossible to talk. It was me listening. And this is why I had this enormous cull. And I have to say that the former relationship was the zenith of this. That I absolutely had to free myself, and I did that by basically flying off the handle and saying that my ex-boyfriend was just talking bollocks. And you'll find that when I think back on all of my relationships, it was incredibly one-sided. And as I say, you're never going to get 50-50, but there has to be some reciprocity. There has to be a degree of fairness. I'm not going to say equality. It's been tainted, that word now, equality. It's got to be fairness involved, that if you're traveling over to meet the friend, they need to come to you as well. And it's a wider point, that there's room for you in your life. It sounds like an obvious thing to say, but there is room for you, and you should learn to take up more space. And it doesn't necessarily mean being incredibly high maintenance or demanding, but it's perfectly acceptable for you to expect agency in whatever relationship that you're in. Now, I will caveat this by saying that in traditional work, that can be a really hard thing. And I experienced that as well. I really did. I was in a job from 2006 until 2014. And to the point when I left that job, I'd been in that job for a quarter of my life. Crazy amount of time. And I had absolutely nightmarish colleagues. And people say, oh, you seem to run into these people a lot, Martin. Maybe it's not them, maybe it's you. Well, yes, it was me, by refusing to stand up for myself, big, by not saying no. Because the story of how I got into that job was partly out of desperation, because I don't really know why, but I was absolutely desperate to leave the long-term ongoing temp role that I had. But the not saying no part was, I was offered this job by an agency and it didn't fulfill any of the requirements that I had laid out. And in fact, it blatantly contradicted a lot of the things. And this is why you have to get very clear about what it is that you actually want. You must go into everything with your eyes open. You must know what you want, and you should expect to get that within reasonable bounds of working with other people. What I'm advocating is an incredibly reasonable and acceptable way of living, but you will find that a lot of people just will not listen, or aren't capable of listening. Either they're too stupid or too selfish, or just too self-obsessed, wrapped up in themselves. And you'll find that with a lot of people. You will, which is why quality over quantity always wins the day, because it's your life. I say this so much. I say it so many times. I say it so often. It's your life. It's nobody else's. And it should be joyful and positive and productive. And you've got to be in the right environment that suits you, and you've got to be with the right people that suit you. It is that simple. But often when you're faced with the realities of various relationships, our confidence can just fly out of the window. It can just vanish. And I am not a victim. I am not, oh, woe is me. But I did allow people to victimize me. I did. I don't want you to make the same mistake. I don't want you to waste time in destructive relationships. I really don't. Because life is so amazing, and there's so much opportunity for you, and you have so much potential that it's absolutely vital that you invest in your own self-confidence. Absolutely vital, because nobody else will do it for you, and you deserve to live a really good life. So choose people based on shared values, shared principles, similar outlooks. Go into relationships being able to discuss things, and if people aren't willing to discuss things and sort of meet you halfway, then honestly, don't bother. Because I've known a lot of people who have had a lot of acquaintances, I would say, not even friendships, because they want to appear popular, they want to be seen to be popular, they want to know loads of people, they always want to have, it's almost like they're treating people like fallback options. Don't do that. I studied philosophy, and one of the greatest principles I learned was from Immanuel Kant, and it is this: treat people as ends in themselves, not as a means to an end. Don't be friends because you want to get some peripheral benefit out of it. Be in a relationship or relationships that improve and enhance your life, and ask yourself the question, once you've met up with so-called friends or acquaintances or whoever, how do you feel after you have met them? How do you feel? Do you feel uplifted? Do you feel irritated? Do you feel relieved that you're not with them anymore? Or once you part ways with them for the day or whatever, could you do it all again? Do you want to do it again? Did they make you smile? Did they make you frown? Ask yourself. And the thing is, you'll know all of this, but admitting it to yourself can be difficult. But that's why it's vital to go into relationships or into anything and know the outcome. What do you want? How do you want to feel? What do you want from that scenario, from that relationship? Why, make it matter. Make it important to have good relationships. And if you're not, then ask yourself, are you putting yourself on the back foot? Are you sacrificing yourself because out of loneliness? Then that is something that you need to face. And that's why I have this channel. It's why I always provide my email address, so that you can get in contact to talk genuinely with me, with somebody that really wants you to have a fantastic life and have great relationships and be uplifted on a daily basis, as much as possible. And please do send me an email to martinfpavey@gmail.com. It's in the description of every video that I do, and it is always available for you to make your life great. So thank you very much for listening from a cloudy but still very, very beautiful Derbyshire, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Please do like, subscribe and share. Ciao for now.